fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
The constitutional point of view was critical for Jefferson's support of the Bill of Rights.
As we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens, I can hear you!
Is time running out?
It's Saturday. Welcome to the Hayden Collins radio program, the Intelligence Syndicate. We're at it again. And we're declaring a state of an emergency for any country out there except for the United States, like was done in the past administration. But if this time we declare one for the United States, will the United States fight the United States over United States security? Boy, there's some sarcasm for you. Imagine being part of the party that you have to fight against security for the United States. Imagine being part of the party, and boy, I tell you what, you guys have got to look this up for me. Here's your mission for the Intelligence Syndicate. All right, soldiers, raise your right hand. I swear, there you are. You're in. Holy moly, am I catching rumblings of this guy who bribed not only Nancy Pelosi, but serious Democrats to, I don't know, make sure the borders were open at all times. And he's drug cartel kind of guy that is going behind bars and showing where he spent all kind of money, and then they closed the doors and wouldn't let anybody hear the testimony anymore. Whoops. Somebody may have got their hand caught in the cookie jar, but we all know that hearsay comes into play. This could be a special interest group just putting false information out there for us to read, and it would be bogus anyway. But there's an assignment for everybody. Let's find out if that's true or not, that all of a sudden this court case got sealed and nobody can talk about it because this guy started testifying about how much money he gave Democratic politicians to make sure the borders were open. Boy, howdy, what a ride that would be. A heck of a ride. All right, well, this week, actually going to talk about a thing that's been bothering me for a few weeks. It's something that's kind of standing out, and it's more political, and I don't really have a historical point of view to pull this from. You have a historical reference. I like to reference Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders, and during World War I, right before World War I, Teddy Roosevelt wanted to raise an entire brigade and go overseas and fight with them. I mean, he was doing that until he caught ill and things didn't end well for him, but it was one of those things where he was just going to the president and said, hey, I'm going to raise another brigade and go fight. Let's go. And the president would, just like during the Rough Riders, they just approve it. Go, raise your unit and go fight. Wow, letter of writ, I don't know. Letter of marque, who knows? It's a constitutional thing. So we have issues that have to be addressed. So without going into rhetoric, you have to say, okay, what is the main push? What is the kitchen table politics right now that makes sense? Well, normally, kitchen table politics would be, we've got to make sure our bills are paid. Do we have jobs? Well, yeah, unemployment's really, really low. It's the best economy I've seen in my lifetime. Well then, is the country making goods, and are we increasing manufacturing jobs and service jobs? Yeah, we are. We have a lot of manufacturing jobs that are doing well. We're making more of them, and the service jobs are going up as well. So they're making money in both of those industries. Well then, it's got to be healthcare. There's got to be healthcare issues. Well, here's the most unique thing that has happened since they started dropping these mandates from Obamacare. I live in a small town in the middle of North Georgia nowhere. And some of you guys that follow the show know that. You guys know where we're at and what we do. We used to have one hospital. One hospital. And that was it. And we had access to 2 or 3 other hospitals locally, and then you had a couple of dock-in-the-boxes. And if you don't know what a dock-in-the-box is, now they've got them in Kroger's at your corner store, okay? It's just a doctor in a little shop on the corner, and you sprain an ankle, you go see him, and turn your report into your regular doctor. It doesn't matter. It's one of those deals. You show up, you're just there. They take you in. So under Obamacare, everything was so controlled that didn't happen. We didn't, a couple of the Doc in the Boxes closed. You just had the hotel. Georgia even passed a hotel bed tax to help compensate for the cost of Obamacare to the state. So they were actually taxing Obamacare to pay Obamacare, which was, I should go into detail on that. All right, let me go into detail on that because I'm getting the finger pointed at me. When Obamacare came out, they had a mandate on each one of the states that they had to pay so much, okay? In a few years, you got to pay so much money, whatever it was. And all the states are going, we don't have that in our budget. You're nuts. We're not going to do that. And they said, well, under Obamacare, you're responsible for X amount of money for each person that goes to the hospital, just like the federal government is. And they go, oh, no. So the state of Georgia passed a hospital bed tax. So if somebody came to the hospital under Obamacare, they would bill the equivalent of what the state would have to pay to Obamacare for the bed, for the tax for the hospital. So effectively, government was taxing government to pay taxes for government. That's how ridiculous it was, getting out of control. Very stupid. So now that this is done and these mandated programs are done, and this is where I was kind of going with this. In my little town, what has blossomed out of the woodwork in the past 18 months is we now have access to 5 hospitals, 1 in town, and the other hospitals have opened up Doc in the Boxes on all parts of the town right now, even out on the highway. There's a Doc in a Box. There's clinics now open, which I found amazing, that are funded clinics to give free health care that didn't exist before Obamacare but exists now. I'm going, oh my gosh, what's going on? What could be doing this? Well, once the markets were no longer closed, they were open again. These hospitals and these clinics and everything wanted to make money, and they wanted to expand. So now they're doing something that, you just don't see. They are competing. They are competing. We give the best medical care. Come see us. We give the best medical care. No, come see us. We give the best medical care. And they're competing for business. Not one size fits all government. They're competing for business. And the strangest thing is happening. Nobody is dying in the waiting room. Because if they did, that would be bad for business. Compared to England, where people die in the waiting room, it's not bad for government. It's just somebody else they don't have to pay health care for. So it benefits them to have somebody die in the waiting room, because then they don't have to spend money on them. Here's a concept for you. Free enterprise and business in the medical profession. If you have a lot of people die in your waiting room, people don't come to you anymore. They go to somewhere else. So for all of you whining about good health care and expensive health care and everything else, you may want to look at our market here in North Georgia, because my health care costs, for the first time in a long, long time, have dropped. And there's competition. And there's 5 major hospitals that are involved in this competition. Because they want the money. They want to earn. And it's their job to keep you alive. So they actually benefit from keeping you alive. Now, I know there's a backdoor slap that if they don't solve the problem, they only treat the symptoms, so then they've got you for the long haul. You just have to find somebody to solve whatever the problem is so you don't get sucked into the long haul. I understand that. But we're looking overall at this going, all right, let's address this. Let's address this platform that we don't see. Now, the only reason I was bringing that up, the unemployment and everything, what is the platform that you see out there right now? Regardless of the party, what is the platform? If you turn on, entertainment news and social media, you have, hey, we're going to be socialist, that's our platform. Or, hey, we're going to be Green New Deal communism, that's going to be our platform. But nobody's presented a platform, and I have sympathy for them. I feel sorry for them. For all these politicians that have been in office 40 and 30 years that have made all these promises to do all these corrections and give us a better life. Donald Trump went in there and in 2 years, with no prior experience, not being reelected or anything else like that, has done everything that they have promised they'd say they'd do, And he did it inside of 2 years, and they're still in office. I think it's time for some competition. Just a thought. Just a thought. Now, I know they're going to say, oh, well, they're elected each time. Look, for you guys that are smart enough to understand the election process, you can't beat an incumbent. They got a 99% chance of winning. The reason you can't beat an incumbent is because it's the party's responsibility to keep the incumbent in office. And who runs the elections? It's the parties. That's why they're called primaries. Duh. So everybody screaming term limits is screaming term limits for a reason. If the president has too much power in 4 to 8 years, look at what Congress has done to us in 30 years with all the promises they made, and they couldn't get anywhere. It's time to limit Congress. Competition is a good thing. We've done specials on that. I still think the 12-year mark for the House and the Senate is the best marker out there. After 12 years, thank you for your service. You served your generation. Go away. Having somebody who's been in office for 50 years does not support anybody in the next generation, as we can obviously see. So what are the platforms? If you're the party of opposition right now, what would be your platform? Well, you can't say, hey, we want to lower unemployment because under the Obama administration, you were happy with unemployment at very high numbers compared to what we have now. So if you're going to scream that you want to lower unemployment, well, why weren't you screaming then? What happened? Well, if you want to say you want to increase the GDP, under the Obama administration, it was, oh, we're going to increase the GDP, but those jobs aren't coming back. And that's not going to happen. Well, guess what? They did. And it is. So you can't run on a GDP platform saying, we want to increase the gross domestic product, because you weren't able to do that under all of your policies. And it didn't work out. You know, you want to increase business? I think the trick was put a businessman in office to increase business. Putting a politician in office does not increase business. That seems to be the lesson we take away from this. And for anybody who makes the argument that more government is better, you know, in this little 12-year window, I suppose we could look in, they could probably define themselves as not being accurate. Because we've certainly seen the bigger, better government, and it didn't work. It worked for government. Didn't work for the citizens. Didn't work for the nation. In fact, the problems we're correcting now are from the bigger, better government. Oh, and I love this. Have you guys seen the numbers from the government shutdown? All right, so understand this. Spain has had their government shut down. Wow, it's almost been a year. It's pretty close to a year. Let's say it's a year, just for giggles here. Been shut down for an entire year. Their unemployment rate has dropped from 25%. It's almost cut in half. Their GDP is up because government is not involved. They're taking government out of the equation, and actually their government's growing. The state of Spain is growing. The country of Spain is growing. The country of Spain is getting back on their feet, and they're doing it without, government. There's a twist for you. That's hilarious, actually. So our numbers from the government shutdown, when they brought this to me, well, first of all, I thought the guys were messing with me because I was looking at it and go, yeah, right, what's going on here? Our government was shut down for almost a month, and our numbers went up. There might be something to this smaller government thing, because even when they're not functioning, our numbers go up. And then the GDP went up, and jobs went up, and unemployment went down further. Oh, boy. Deep breath. Deep breath. So, got to have some fun with this one. And we'll leave that subject, so I got to have some fun with this one. Here's another 10-bit. I was on the road last week. I was in California last week. God help me. In California. And having a lengthy discussion with students, and a healthy discussion, no doubt, a political one, kind of funny actually. And the guys we were talking to said that they wanted to change the Electoral College because California is underrepresented. And they said they wanted to change the Senate because California is underrepresented. And I said, all the states are equal. And they said, well, yeah, but California has more people, so we should be represented with more senators. And I said, well, you're represented with more representatives. That's what you have. He goes, well, yeah, but that's not the Senate. We don't have equal representation in the Senate. I said, yes, you do. Every state has 2 senators. Well, we need more. I said, well, why do you need more? He says, well, we can vote more. I said, okay, so let's try this. Let's say, and we only had like 50 people in there. I said, let's say this entire room of 50 people voted to take away your wallet and all your money. Yeah, they wouldn't do that. I said, well, they just did. So you need to give us all your money in your wallet. In fact, we voted for you to be homeless. Well, no, that's not fair. I said, now you understand why there's only 2 senators for each state. And so we don't get into a rule by mob mentality. Because a mob will do whatever a mob does based on the promises they get. And if you're the politician given the promises and they don't go right, your life is going to be shortened. Well, your career and life may be shortened. Because all the promises you made did not come true, so the mob got upset and came after you. What this shows is a failure in education. And it's a huge failure in education. If it's to the point to where they don't even understand why the Senate exists. And in my research, let's go back to the point when senators were appointed. Or senators had, I don't know. All right, let's take it this way. Popular elections are ruled by mob mentality. Not that it's right, not that it's wrong, doesn't matter. It's a representation. It's for 2 years. So if you go to a popular election, and let's say it's a House election, and if you get the most votes, you win. And that's fine. You got the most votes, you win. You represent a majority of the people that voted for you. You're a representative for those people. Now, in the House of Representatives, you're representing those districts. You're representing those people. In the Senate, you should be representing the state you are from. But ever since they started popular elections in the Senate, we find senators representing people, not the state. Think about that. We have 2 houses that both represent the people on popular votes, and nobody's there to represent the state. That's how we got Obamacare. Keep in mind, there was 36, 37 states, whatever, that didn't even want Obamacare. If those senators actually represented their states, it never would have got through the Senate. It never even would have made it anywhere, because they were representing their states. They weren't representing the next popular vote. Here it is. Now see, the downside to that is you get the boss hog mentality. As you're appointed by a governor, the governor keeps you in there. But the thing of it is every time the governor changes, you get a new senator. That's the unique part of it. So that it created term limits for senators, and every time the governor changed, your term limit was, if the governor was reelected, you stayed in for, the next term. If you didn't, you're out. That's how the game is played. And if it fell in between, then you had to serve the governor there until the end of your term, and you were replaced when the governor wanted to replace you. The Senate has become a popular vote scenario. It doesn't represent the state anymore. It represents the people, and the House represents the people. You're thinking, oh, great, they both represent the people. No. Because if somebody was actually representing the state and the state constitutions as it relates to the federal constitution, we wouldn't have overreach as much as we have right now. Nobody would have allowed a mandate to the people to pay a fine if they didn't have health care. We got rid of debtor's prison with the British. So if you went in debtor's prison, you had to pay to get out of prison. But if you had no money, you stayed in there. Think about that. And we got rid of that with the British. Got rid of debtor's prison. And they wanted a federal mandate to bring it back. You have to question that one. Really, really question it. Nonetheless, ranting enough today. Had enough fun with this. I got to put this out there again. Need some interns. Got to have some interns. Need more interns for the roundtable. Actually, we're going on the road again, too, to do some things on the road. So if you're out and about as an intern and you want to go out to one of the road seminars, you're welcome to do that as well. But email me at hayden@haydencollins.org. .org, not .com. Say you're interested in me in an intern. We'll hook you up with a lead intern. They'll interview you. And we'll put you in the process of getting on the air, learning how to do production, on-air personality, quality, writing. There's all sorts of things that come out of this organization. And you'll be able to leave school, high school or college, and we do have 2 high school interns. They're doing well, with something on your resume other than the fact that you went to school. I know that's difficult for some of you. and for some of the hate mail I've been receiving from individuals saying, how dare I want competition? That was kind of funny. So keep that in mind as we select interns and put them into position. Oh, and I do not care your political affiliation. We have independents, Democrats, we have Republicans, we have libertarians. It does not matter. I even have 2 individuals from the Green Party. Okay? Your affiliation does not matter. Your opinion does. And we do not restrict your opinion on the show. All right, that's it for this weekend. Gonna get back on the road, hit a few items. Let's watch the overall track for what happens this week outside of entertainment news and outside of entertainment media. Try not to believe anything you read. Try to believe what you see as you see it. And let's have our own little state of emergency too. I like it when the states of emergency actually pertain to Americans instead of other countries. Kind of neat. All right, we'll see you after the break. The twins are coming right up with Oops, I Arted again. You guys are loving that. Love the emails on it. Be right back.